Welcome to the Laws of Lashon Harah on this beautiful day. We are on chapter 6, number 3, Vav Gimel. We're talking about the laws of listening to Lashon Harah. In the beginning, we've been discussing mostly speaking Lashon Harah, and now we're discussing the prohibition of listening to Lashon Harah, which we learned is a Torah prohibition. One is not allowed to listen to Lashon Harah. One is not allowed to believe Lashon Harah. And you're not allowed to listen to Lashon Harah even on condition that you're not going to believe whatever you're going to hear. There are situations where you are allowed to hear evil speech if it's relevant to you in the future or to someone you know. For example, if you are going into business with somebody and someone wants to tell you that the guy you're going into business with is a thief and he can't be trusted, you are allowed to listen to that. And we learned the halacha that even in that case, when you are listening to Lashon Harah, evil speech for a purpose, such as preventing a loss for yourself, you're not allowed to believe it in your heart. You're only allowed to act appropriately to protect yourself. And we said that even if you're hearing Lashon Harah for a purpose, the person speaking it also has to have that intent, because if you're listening for a purpose, but he hates the guy and he's telling you this Lashon Harah in order to denigrate him, then that is a prohibition for the speaker, and you're helping the speaker do a prohibition, which is lifnei iver, of putting a stumbling block in front of a blind man, which is a Torah prohibition, which is a prohibition of helping someone do a sin. And now we're going to go into a little more of that. It shouldn't be astonishing to the reader. How can we fulfill our obligation and not violate any prohibitions? Even if I'm not allowed to hear any evil speech, how am I able to hear speech which might protect me from something? Right? How am I going to know whether the negative information that somebody wants to tell me is for a purpose or not? So he says, this is what you should do. Someone comes to you and he wants to tell you a juicy piece of Lashon Harah. He wants to say something negative about your friend. And you realize from the way he's speaking that he wants to say something negative. You should ask him, is the thing you're about to tell me relevant to me in the future? Or are you telling me that something that I could fix with rebuke? Or similar topics. If the guy tells you that, I want to tell you something relevant pertaining to the future, like our case where you want to go into business with John and he says, I need to tell you something about John because I heard you're going into business with him. Or you're able to fix the thing, you're allowed to listen to what he has to say. And you shouldn't believe, though, what he's telling you in your heart, but you should be you should be worried to it until you clarify the matter. But if you realize from his answer that there is no purpose in what he wants to tell you, and you realize he just wants to denigrate this person, if you realize that this guy coming to you just hates the fellow that he's speaking about, you're not allowed to listen to what he has to say. That is a prohibition. And he writes in the bottom that it's something to be careful about, because if somebody comes to you and speaks Lashon Harah and you listen, they're going to come to you again in the future because they say, oh, look, that guy loves to listen to my gossip. So now he listened to my gossip one time, so now I'm always going to go to him and gossip to him, and there's many, many sins going to come. So the Chavetz Chaim is telling us, suggesting that if someone comes to you and you realize he's about to speak Lashon Harah, I've had a very holy rabbi, I've seen them do this. They say, before you speak, is this something relevant to me in the future? Because if that's the case, and the person has to be also telling you for that purpose, that is then it's allowed. But you should determine that at first, because if not, and you listen to Lashon Harah this one time, you violated Torah prohibition. And not only that, but he's probably going to come to you in the future with another juicy piece of gossip. Okay, let's do halacha daled. Sometimes it's actually a mitzvah to listen to a negative speech about somebody. He says a new case. There's another case when we're allowed to listen to Lashon Harah, right? So far we had the case where you're allowed to listen to Lashon Harah, negative speech, if it's relevant to you in the future, or you want to rebuke the person, if that's relevant, or you want to protect your friend. But here's another case. Let's say someone is saying something bad about somebody else, and if you hear it, you'll be able to explain to everybody there how the story is not like they said. You have some information, and you could say, oh, you saw John taking money from the tzedakah box, and you thought he was stealing. I happen to have witnessed the whole account, and he wasn't stealing. He was actually taking change for a 20, and he put a 20 in there, and he only took 15, so he gave a very nice $5 contribution to the synagogue. Or there's something else you could say to be dan lekav schus. So in that case, you're allowed to listen to the Lashon Harah so that you can explain to everybody there how it really is not a negative thing what this person is saying. And he writes again on the bottom that you should be careful of this. You have to, all of these cases, you have to use your judgment, because sometimes when someone says something negative and you try to justify it, and you say, no, that's really not negative, I was there, this happened, XYZ, the speaker, it's his motive to really denigrate this person. So if you start justifying and being down the kaf schus and viewing him positively, it'll cause the speaker to just denigrate him even more. In such a case, you shouldn't say anything and you should just keep quiet. But what you should do is wait till the speaker leaves, and then you could tell the people listening exactly what was going on and to judge him favorably. So again, everything has to be judged. We all have to use our judgment and our minds and determine the best course of action. Continues the Chafetz Chaim. There's another case where it's a mitzvah to listen to negative speech. He says, if someone comes to you and he's fuming, someone just did something very wrong to him, and the guy's angry, and he really, really wants to get it off his chest, and you can tell that if he gets it off his chest with you, then he's not going to talk about it anymore to anybody else. But if you don't let him speak, he's going to go around and he's going to go start telling everybody about how bad this person is. So if you can tell that that's the situation, it's actually a mitzvah to listen to him, because you're increasing peace amongst the Jewish people by causing this person not to go around and to spread this slander to other people. Okay. And he writes, the Chafetz Chaim concludes, halacha daled, halacha number 4, with all the leniencies we just said, all the permissive cases, you should be very careful in your soul. You shouldn't believe it in your heart, whatever is being told to you, that it's true. You should only be worried about it. You should be suspicious. You should be lachush. Meaning, anytime in any of these cases when you hear something negative about your friend, in any of the permissible cases, you're still not allowed to believe it in your heart. Rather, you should use it to protect yourself, and you could be chayshish. Meaning, if someone tells you this guy's a thief, you don't have to go in. You're not allowed to believe it that he's a thief, but you're also not required to go into business with him. And it is a very difficult halacha, but with a lot of practice, it works. Oh, just something I missed here in the Haggadah. He writes that if you do listen to Lashon Harah and you hear something negative, a way that you can rectify the sin is by using all of your brain power to judge this person favorably. If you hear, again, a negative thing about somebody, and it appears on the surface to be very negative, and you listened, you believed it, so you violate the sin of Lashon Harah. But what you can do after is tell yourself, maybe the person who saw didn't really see everything correctly. Maybe there was extenuating circumstances. I'm sure there's 10 different examples of what happened. And in that case, you can actually uproot the sin retroactively because you don't believe anything negative about your friend, because what appeared to be a negative story, when you in your mind were down the kafschus, you judge them favorably, then you retroactively uproot the sin of listening to Lashon Hara. But obviously you're not allowed to listen to Lashon Hara on condition to do that afterwards. So again, it's just a few cases. There's a prohibition to listen to Lashon Hara and to believe it in your heart. But there are some cases when it's permitted, and even a mitzvah. If you need to hear the Lashon Hara to protect yourself from a future business investment or a shidduch or something like that, or if you think by hearing the story you're able to explain to everybody how it really wasn't negative, or you realize someone's very angry and if he tells you the story, he's not going to go and tell other people, that's allowed. And even in the cases when you are, in the previous cases when you're doing it to protect yourself from like a business investment or something, you have to tell the person, I only want to hear this if it's relevant for the future. And if someone comes up to you and wants to tell you Lashon Hara, you should say, I only want to hear what you have to say if it's something relevant to me in the future. And again, the other cases, you have to use your judgment if by speaking to you that he's going to calm down and not tell everybody else, or if by you hearing the story and explaining to him that it's really not how you assume it happened, if he's going to listen to you, then you could listen to it. And again, it all depends on a person's judgment. Have a beautiful day.